Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book review, and boy, it's a big week. It's a big week, kids. Lots of books came out this week. Since the past few weeks we've just had a slow burn of stuff. There's been lots of good stuff, but this week is really surprisingly big, but not necessarily huge books, huge new books, but a lot of like returning books this week. So we'll just jump right in. First up, The Forge #1, written by Greg Rucka and Eric Troutman, with artwork by Mike Henderson. So basically, a good example of this, think of like Aliens with the soldiers and stuff. So they're on this ship, this mission from this empress, who apparently is like magical or witch or something. So they're on this mission. They don't know. And so they get to this planet, and then you find out that the empress has another mission that it is not told. And so the soldiers find out that they need to jump ship and get out of town, because where they've been told to, like, by the empress's emissary, that they need to get out of the ship, because, you know, the ship ends up exploding, and then they land on the planet, and that's pretty much the first issue. It's one of those where this whole first issue is really a setup. It gets you to know the characters, kind of gets you the basic structure of like the empire and the empress and all, you know, how she runs everything. We don't know why they've been sent to this like planet, you know, kind of somewhat off the grid. So we don't know any of those answers yet, but that's the basic structure here. Like I said, this first issue is pure setup. Excuse me. And Rucka and Troutman, you know, do a good job of setting everything up. The really big win for this book is Henderson's artwork, which is absolutely gorgeous. And it has that magazine-size format that a lot of DC Black Label books have. So really, I mean, really a lot of this story is really driving the art. And it's absolutely a gorgeous-looking book. Like I said, the story, once again, it's all pretty much exposition in this first issue, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly where the story's going from here, but it does, you know, flesh out, you know, the characters and stuff, which is good. I liked it. I didn't necessarily love it, but I think it's off to an interesting start. You know, this is going to be one of those where the second issue is going to be kind of where we learn what's going on and kind of moving forward from it. So we'll kind of go with the second issue, but at the very least, you should definitely check it out for the artwork. And like I said, I think the story's good. It's just very exposition heavy. So next up, we have Masters of the Universe Masterverse #2, written by Tim Seeley, with the framing artwork by Eddie Nunez. And then there's the first story, East of Eternos, with artwork by E.J. Sue, and Man at Arms for Hire, with artwork by Victor Santos. So what this is each issue has a framing thing of stories in the Master Universe universe that are being told, and then each one's done by different artists. So the good thing is that they're standalone stories, so that's really nice. And I really have to give it to Seeley. He writes each story specifically for the artist. In the first case, what it is Adam and Jitsu are traveling on ship to find the Rock of Eternia, where Castle Grayskull is. And so that's really the story of like, you know, Jitsu's a thief, and he knows where this place is, and it's a pretty simple story, but it's really nice. Sue's artwork is really nice. The really big win for this issue, nothing against Sue, which the artwork's really nice. I really like that first story, but the second story is really where the bread and butter of this issue is. The artwork by Victor Santos is amazing. It's because he predominantly does his stuff in like black and white, so it's a pure noir story with Man at Arms and his assistant Evil Lynn solving a kidnapping case, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's a great story. Seeley is having a really good time with this because he knows Santo's artwork is really going to bring this story to life, and it really is good. Visually, it's absolutely amazing. Once again, what I like about this book is that they're standalone stories and that they're going outside kind of the kid-friendly He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Not so much I think that it's necessarily adult-oriented. I think it's just, you know, they're just going to visual places that the show and subsequent versions of it really don't go, and that's what's great about this comic. It allows it to go in different directions visually and story-wise. I really love it. Seeley's knocking out of the park with the stories, and like I said, he writes these stories specifically for the artist. So Sue is perfect for the East of Eternos, and Santos is perfect for Man-at-Arms for Hire. So definitely worth checking out, even if you're not a huge Master Universe fan. That's what I like about this book. I think in some ways it's made for people who kind of like it, but you know, aren't necessarily obsessed with it. But that's what's great. This comic really is just absolutely wonderful. Bravo to Seeley and his team. Next up, we have the X-Cellents Season 2, number 1, written by Peter Milligan, with artwork by Mike Allred. So now, once again, this is, I kind of want to give a warning. These particular kind of mini-series are not really new reader friendly. There's a lot of continuity that goes into these. It picks up from the previous mini-series and the previous series of Ecstatic. And so in that respect, you really need to have read that stuff to really read this. So if you're kind of picking this up, you know, and you haven't read any of those, you're gonna be thoroughly lost. But with that being said, I do like how they're building the story. I like how we're getting these seasons, and I think a lot of it has to do with Allred. He was doing the Superman Space Age books, so there was a bit of a break between the last you know, miniseries. And once again, I'm a big fan of the book, but like I said, it's certainly not new reader friendly, which is kind of a shame. I really wish you know, they had really kicked off this you know, kind of second story arc from the original series to be a bit more new friendly. But you know, I like it, but it's just definitely not for people who have not read the previous series and mini series from this. Other than that, I really like it. I'm a huge fan of Allred's artwork. Milligan continues to really have an interesting story with all these characters, but like I said, just definitely you need to have read the previous stuff. But if you have, you're definitely going to enjoy what Milligan and Allred are doing in the second season. Next up, we have Superman Lost, number 1, written by Christopher Priest, who just goes by Priest, and artwork by Carlos Pagluyan. So what this is so Superman and Lois are together, and so, you know, he goes off to a mission with the Justice League, and they find what they have been told is that there's a Russian submarine that went down. They find out it's a spaceship, and that it's going to explode if they don't shut off, or it's going to create like a wormhole in the earth and destroy everything if they don't, you know, stop basically the meltdown. So being that, you know, humans can't really go in there, so they send Superman in. They use Wonder Woman's magic lasso to kind of hold him, and he fixes it, but then he basically gets transported into space, and that's the setup that he's been gone for 20 years. And yet it's kind of like it appears to be like a blink of an eye here. So I'm not quite sure whether it's like people are going to know that he's been gone for 20 years, because it does seem like Lois is just like, oh, he's back. So I think, but no matter which way that particular part of the story goes, I really love this story. It was really, really good. I think it's a nice outside continuity. You know, it just stands on its own, which is really good. But really, for me, I mean, the story's great, but really the big win is Pagluyan's artwork. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is really a good-looking book. He draws a great Superman. I mean, it's just really great. I love his Justice League. I really enjoyed this book. I think it's one of those, I don't know that it necessarily like, oh my God, this is the greatest Superman story I've ever read, but I was really, just really intrigued while I was reading it. It just really, Priest has set up a great story here. It'll be really interesting to see, this is a 10-issue series. So it'll be really interesting, because obviously it's going to deal with Superman, these 20 years that he's been gone. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. This is definitely, for me, a really big win this week. Next up, we have Art Brut, number 4, written by W. Maxwell Prince, with artwork by Martin Morazzo. So what it is Art and Manny, his wooden figure, basically find out that the villain is sending this kid in who's able to change the artwork within the art, because Art Brut can actually go into the artwork. And so really this is the big finale of him and Manny trying to, stop this kid. And Margot is actually going to the location where the bad guy has the kid and is, trying to get him to destroy, all this, art world. And it was really interesting. I really enjoyed this series. I think the thing that really made it was, the story's really, the story's pretty basic. It's kind of, like a murder mystery type situation, but it was really Morazzo's artwork that really, brought this book really amazingly. How, when they go into the, the artwork, it kind of, he mimics the style of the art for that particular sequence. And it's really, it was really fascinating. It's not necessarily going to be a book for everybody, but I really enjoyed what Prince did. If you're familiar, he's written Ice Cream Man, which has that same sort of kind of like bizarre weirdness. But I really dug it, and I think, if this series sold well, I think there's more stories to possibly tell in the future. With that being said, I enjoyed the series. If you missed it, I'm sure the trade will be out soon. I think it's worth checking out if you're looking for something, kind of on the odd side. Next up, we have Batman: The Adventures Continue, Season 3, Number 3, written by Alan Burnett and Paul Dini, with artwork by Ty Templeton. So what this is the first part of a new storyline where Batman is trying to capture the Joker again, like he always is. He always catches him and then he gets out. But what the Joker has found out, or what he's done, is he's found this soldier that has kind of been turned into this super soldier. And so he's using, he's conned him into being like his muscle. And so Amanda Waller and the Suicide Squad come to Gotham because they know what's going on. And Amanda's like, we can take out the Joker and that'll be it, and he's like, Batman's like not too keen on that whole thing. That was actually a really neat touch. So it seems like, Batman's going to team up with the Suicide Squad probably in the next story. Once again, this is a continuation of basically the Batman animated series, which Burnett and Dini were writers on. And glad to say that Ty Templeton is back doing the artwork. He's done a ton of the Batman adventure books, and it's really nice to see him back after a brief absence due to some health issues, but glad he's back. His artwork looks great. This was really, once again, these are fun stories. And it's great to see the, kind of these DC characters in this sort of animated universe. And it's just fun. And I really liked it. I'm really excited to see where they take the Suicide Squad, from here, in this story. So once again, this is always a must buy every month. Next up, we have Avengers War Across Time, number 3, written by Paul Levitz with artwork by Alan Davis. So this issue continues the storyline with Mjolnir, who created the, Thor's hammer. He's taken Thor's hammer. Thor gets it back. So Mjolnir goes down to inside the earth where he finds the lava men. And then he's like, oh, okay, hey, Lava Man, why don't you follow me? We'll go up and, you know, cause chaos for the Avengers. That's pretty much the story. And look, here's the thing that you need to know about this series. This is, you know, Paul Levitz, he worked for DC for, like, a ton of time. This is his first Marvel book. And really what this is a love letter to the original Avengers, you know, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and Don Heck, you know, run on the book. And it really is just a simple, fun story. It's not really deep. It's just a lot of fun, and that's all it's trying to be. And I think if you're looking for something much deeper, it's not going to be here. This is just a fun, you know, look at that period of like the original Avengers, and that it's that simple. And they're you know, Levitz is having a great time. Alan Davis's artwork, I'm a huge fan of his. It's really, really good looking. It's really nice work. It's just a fun book, and that's what I love about it. You know, you don't have to know any continuity or anything. It's just, you know, hit the ground running, and it's just a lot of fun. I love it, and I think it's well worth checking out. Next up, we have Danger Street, number 4, written by Tom King with artwork by George Fornes. So, once again, the little bit of history, I always put it ahead. There was, back in the 70s, there was a book from DC called First Issue Specials. There were 13 issues, so there were 13 individual characters. There was characters created by Kirby, the Creeper by Ditko, and then a bunch of others, and then there was a revival of the New Gods. So what King is doing is he's taking all these characters and then putting them in one story. The thing is that each issue is building upon, you know, what has previously come. So it's one of those where you really need to continuously really read this issue. But really what we're learning is that the Manhunter is now, we know that he's working for the Green Team. And that the lady cop is kind of discovering what's going on. So she's going to go after these heroes. Hopefully, you know, she's just a cop with a gun. So I don't know. Hopefully that'll work out well for her. But the Dingbats of Danger Street, which is where the name Danger Street comes from, was a Kirby created book. They're discovering that, you know, they're uncovering this conspiracy of the Manhunters and everything. And, you know, once again, there's a lot going on, but then we don't still know, you know, kind of how all the pieces of the puzzle are fitting together. And that's what's making this really interesting. It is really like a puzzle, and each issue we learn more, and yet we also kind of uncover other things uncover more mystery at the same time. And, you know, once again, Tom King is really good at this kind of stuff. This is going to be one of those, that it's enjoyable reading it when it comes out, but it's really gonna, it's one of those books I can't wait to really reread when it's all finished. Rorschach was a lot like that, and this is the same team. And George Fornes his artwork is wonderful. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the fact that he gets to play with all these characters, and I just love that, you know, there's so much going on visually that he's able to, take King's script and really just keep it moving visually, which really helps this book a lot. I love this book. I look forward to it every month. It's definitely worth checking out, but you just can't pick up this issue and just start reading. You really have to read the first 3 issues, but once you read it, you'll be hooked like I was. Next up, we have Darkwing Duck, number 3, written by Amanda Deibert, with artwork by Carlo Laro. So this issue, Darkwing Duck has given up being Darkwing Duck. He's just being his altered ego, Drake Mallard. And for some reason, he's hanging out with Morgana, you know, like it's his wife or something. So I don't know what's going on here. Deibert has really kind of thrown amazing monkey wrench into this story where it's like, well, wait a second, isn't it Darkwing Duck? No, it's just Duck Mallard. He's just going to be mild-mannered Duck Mallard. And so it's really interesting to like why he's really given up. You know, we're not quite sure why he's given up. You know, beyond that he's just tired of being a superhero and maybe it's just not working out. But I like the fact that it's basically, this is like a Clark Kent story where there is no like Superman. They're just Clark Kent. So that's really kind of what it is. And then he's like kind of hanging, you know, like his wife like is his super villain. So there's a lot going on here to really unpack, but Debert really, you know, kind of keeps it going and kind of keeps the mystery under wrap because it's going to continue next issue. Lauer's artwork really captures the spirit of the animated series. This has been a really fun book and really surprising that it's I think a lot deeper than I thought it would kind of go. You know, Debert's telling stories that, you know, once again are still all ages friendly. It's just like, it's kind of like really taking it to the next level compared to the animated series, which was, you know, pretty basic. It was a fun show, but pretty basic. And I like that this has got a little more meat on the bone, basically. It's still, I'm enjoying it. So we'll kind of see where Debert and Lauer are going to take it after this. Next up, we have Multiversity. Harley Screws Up the DCU, #2, written by Frank Terry with artwork by Logan Faerber. So basically, Harley has gone into the future, screwed up the future where there's no basically heroes. And because of that, Starro came to Earth and just took over Earth. So future Harley was able to get her Starro off. And then she tried to go after Starro. That didn't work. Her gang got all Starroed. And so what it is Harley... future Harley and present Harley have to get back into the Wayback Machine to, you know, they're going to go try to correct what has happened because the Harley from the present has went to the future and screwed it all up. So anyways, I don't want to reveal, but Starro basically has a plan to, you know, follow them through time. But I will say that this issue has a lot of really wild stuff. You know, Terry, excuse me, really has a great handle on Harley, and he really captures like all the insanity of really Harley, you know, in the comics. And I just love that he's really spinning this wild tale of just like mayhem and time travel and Starro. And you know, I love that, you know, future Harley's kind of smarter than present Harley. You know, you kind of have like, you know, it's like two Harleys, but they're totally different. I love that Terry's really doing that. Faerber's artwork, I really love his artwork. It's really a kinetic style, kind of a cartoony, wild thing. And especially during the, you know, big fight scenes, he really just goes to town. I'm really enjoying this. This apparently was a digital first, but this is the first time it's in print. And, you know, once again, I prefer print, so I really think it's worth picking up. It's a lot of fun. Terry and Faerber are doing a great job. I can't wait to see where this book goes. Next up, we have Kaya, #6, written and drawn by Wes Craig, with a backup story by Al Gofa. So this issue is a standalone issue. So just to let you know, this week also the first 5 issues came out in trade paperback. And what Craig is doing is this 6th issue is not included in the trade paperback. It's more of a thank you for people that are buying the single issues. And so it's a standalone story. It's actually a good jumping on point too, where we learn how Kaya got her magic, you know, her arm, her robot arm. And, you know, it also, you know, tells the story of how her uncle Kova, you know, basically sacrificed himself to save her life in getting the arm. So it's really a wonderful story. And I also really like the backup by Gofa. It's just a fun little, you know, standalone story. And I like the fact that you know, his artwork is very different from Craig's. It's just a fun little story. It's, you know, and that's really good because you know, once again, this 6th issue really is super new reader friendly. And it kind of gives you what has happened because he sets it up with like previously in Kaya. So that way, if you haven't read the first, you know, 5 issues and you want to pick this up with the trade, it's really a great jumping on point, and that'll get you going to where, you know, the 7th issue is going to pick up the storyline from the 5th issue. I'm really a big fan of this book. It's a great all ages book. The story's great. Craig's artwork is fantastic. I really cannot recommend this book enough. It's really a lot of fun. It's a blast. And it's definitely, like I said, if you missed it, pick up the trade, pick up issue 6. You're going to really enjoy this book. Next up, we have Harrower number 2, written by Justin Jordan with artwork by Bram Reville. So basically, you know, once again, think of this as, you know, Jason, and he's a killing machine. And so what it is every, you know, anniversary of this Harrower that comes to town, you know, it's always been told in stories and nobody believes it anymore. So we know from the last issue that he's back. The kids are having a celebration party, and basically the Harrower comes in and just starts killing people left and right. It's a true bloodbath. I wouldn't say that like story-wise, this is like going to be the most amazing story you've ever read. But if you're a big horror fan, and you love bloodletting, this is your book. It's a pretty basic story with just a lot of blood and a lot of death. You know, once again, it is what it is. And I appreciate that Jordan is just telling this story. You know, it's not, it is what it is, and it's not gonna, it doesn't appear to be more than that, and that's fine. It doesn't try to be more than it, you know, it's you know, basic structure is. Revelle's artwork's really nice, especially with the bloodletting. I mean, it's a bloodbath, this issue, and it's kind of beautiful. So if you're a horror fan, definitely check this book out. If you're not a horror fan, this is not going to be up your alley. Next up, we have Justice Society of America number 3, written by Jeff Johns with artwork by Mikkel Janin and Jerry Ordway. So this issue basically has a flashback story with Sergeant Rock and Easy Company, and those sequences are drawn by Jerry Ordway, and then Janin's drawing the main part, the Justice Society part. And so what it is you kind of find out how Dagaton, the villain, basically how he was able to kind of time travel. What it was is, so Sergeant Rock was sent in to, you know, shut down this experiment. And so what it is it transports him ahead, not that far, into 47 post the war. And so he's able to recreate, and that's how he's able to travel through time. That's how he was able to go to the Justice Society of America in the present, kill them, except for Huntress was able to get away. And now Huntress is back in the 40s with the original Justice Society, trying to like correct all of this stuff. So that's the basic structure here. That Jeff Johns, and once again, we know that Jeff Johns is a really big Justice Society, you know, fan, and I really am enjoying the story. I think this 3rd issue really adds a lot of underlayer to what we have known from the first 2 issues. As always, Janin's artwork's really wonderful, but I'm really happy that Jerry Ordway, I'm a huge fan of Jerry Ordway, and he drew JSA for like a long time back in the day. And to have him do the Sergeant Rock sequence was absolutely perfect. And you know, it's just a really good looking book. I'm a big fan of the Justice Society, and I'm really glad that DC's kind of bringing them back, you know, kind of back with this and Stargirl. They're really fun books, and I think it's just, it's a lot of fun, and hopefully, we'll kind of see where Johns is going to take this first story arc, which I am really enjoying. So definitely still worth checking out. Next up, we have The Last Barbarian number 2, written by Brian Hamberlin with Hannah Wall, with artwork by Brian Hamberlin. So once again, this is really, think of like Dungeons and Dragons and like Warhammer kind of mixed together in a way. And or not Warhammer, just Dungeons and Dragons, my bad. And so what it is, last issue, Sylve and her brother Shadow were hired by Falk. Basically, he's going to go rescue his nephew or grandson. He keeps going back and forth, so we obviously know that there's no relation there, and that Falk has something else underneath that he hasn't told them. But so they get caught up, and when we find out that the people who've captured him they end up they're trying to take the boy somewhere. Another set of like people that are trying to get a hold of the kid. These two women, they attack them. Then the boy gets transported into the bar that Sylv and the team are at. They take the kid, they get away, but there's something bigger going on. There's a story of why. There's also an interesting thing with the kid and Shadow that I don't want to give away. It's really quite interesting. Like, okay, this kid has something really else going on. He's not just some random kid that's been kidnapped. So there's a lot going on. I like the story. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty simple. It's a lot, it's a pretty basic story, but I think the thing that Hamberlin's doing here is, just injecting a lot of fun in here. And it's a kidnap story, but with kind of underpinnings of other things that are going on. And of course, his artwork is just absolutely gorgeous. It's a really good looking book, but if you're a big fan of like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, I think even if you're not a big Dungeons and Dragon fan, this book is a lot of fun, and it's well worth checking out. I really enjoy it. The artwork's really nice, and the story's a lot of fun. So definitely check it out. Okay, I backed up. So that was the last Barbarian. Next up, we have Spy Superb number 3, written and drawn by Matt Kent. So really, what this issue does is it finishes out the story. It's a 3-issue miniseries. So what it is Jay, who's basically stupid, and the basic premise is that there is no Spy Superb. They just get ordinary people to sort of, they don't realize that they're a Spy Superb, and they just kind of keep this mystery going because everybody in the spy community thinks that he's like, the super James Bond. So him and Lucky are getting away from Roach Chamberlain, who's a Russian agent trying to kill Jay. And then there's stuff we find out about Lucky. I do not want to give away what we find out about her, but it really makes it very interesting, where there's just there's a lot going on. There's a lot of explanation, but Kent pulls it all together. And I think there's possibly more stories in the future with Jay and Lucky. So we'll kind of see where that goes. I really like it. I know that everybody's not necessarily going to appreciate Kent's art. I really love his artwork. I think it fits a story really well. I really love this book a lot. I think it was really great. If you missed it, I'm sure there'll be a trade of it coming out, but it's really a fun little story, and I've really enjoyed it. It's definitely worth checking out. And finally, this week we have Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries number 6, written by Ivan Cohen with artwork by Erich Owen. So basically, this story has Batman and the Scooby Gang. They sort of team up with Madame Xanadu, but I don't want to give too much away because there's kind of a flip to that story. But basically, they go the Scooby team goes to Madame Xanadu, and they get a tarot reading, and they're told if they continue to work with Batman, someone's going to die, or something bad's going to happen. So they basically, like, Batman, they just keep blowing Batman off, which is really, really funny. And then you find out that someone is not who they seem. It's a standalone, as with a typical issue and Scooby storyline. It's one and done. Cohen wrote a really fun story here. I really enjoyed this story a lot. Owen's artwork is actually kind of interesting because it really, it's kind of the Hanna-Barbera style, but it also, like, his Batman really looked like the Filmation stuff. It's very different. It doesn't look super cartoony, it was interesting. It's certainly not bad. I love the artwork. It was just very different, and I actually like that. But once again, this is a great all-ages book that really is just fun, and it's great for anybody of all ages. And, each issue stands on its own, so it's well worth checking out. I love this book. I look forward to it every month because it's just fun. And sometimes having a fun comic is just that simple. that's going to do it this week. We did pretty good. I kept it going pretty good. Sorry about the mix up on Spy, Superb, and The Last Barbarian, but we got them both in, so that's the important part. But a good week. I think some really solid reads. Nothing really disappointing, which was good. As always, public service announcement. I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner runs a great store. Annie, Eduardo, Derek, Wendy. Great team that works there. They have a great pull service. That's why I get all those wonderful books every week. And they give you a discount if you sign up for their pull service. They offer 30% on trades and graphic novels. They have a nice manga selection at 20% off. They have a really good selection of books, trades and hardcovers, and the discount, he has it every day. So it's a great deal. If you live in the more metropolitan LA area, there's Pulp Fiction Culver City. It's same name, different owner. Chris and her team run that store. They have a lot of the same discounts, but I definitely I'm in in the Long Beach area, and that's my store. It's a really great store. Ryan runs a great job. Check out their socials for upcoming events and things. Definitely a really great comic shop. And as always, support your local comic shop. Very important. They buy the books before you get them. Make sure you buy your pulls as often as you can. If every week is great, but definitely on a regular basis, because they have to pay for them in advance. Just really support your local comic shop. It's really important. And as always, we end our show with be kind. Being kind it's simple, it's free, it's good for you, it's good for other people. Just say hello, thank you, open the door for somebody. It's simple. It's not rocket science here, folks. Just be kind. I know things are tough out there. Trust me, things have been tough, but being kind is good for you, and it's good for everybody. So take care of yourselves. As always, please, thank you, like, subscribe, share our videos. Comments are welcome. You can comment below. And thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. Like I said, a WonderCon's coming up in a couple weeks, so that might monkey the schedule that weekend. That might affect next week's. Yeah, it'll be next week's. It might affect the show, so we'll see. That might get up a little late, so just be prepared for that. Just in case. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Be kind. This is Steven from Pop Culture Maven signing off. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you again next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.